Hi, besties, and welcome to Semi Qualified Queens.
A show where we talk about all things drag because we are semi qualified to speak on it.
I'm Juicebox,
And I'm Cynthia Kiss.
and welcome to Semi Qualified Queens. Hello, my dear.
Hi,
We
my
haven't done this
dear.
in so long.
I know, I feel like we're rusty.
I
I
know.
missed you. I feel like we haven't
I
been chatting
know.
every minute. 2 months ago, we were touring. We couldn't get
hmm
enough of each other. And now I feel like we're worlds apart.
Yeah, we went from speaking every day or speaking every Friday to speaking every day to just being like, it's been weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. I know. How are
It's
you?
crazy. I'm so good. It's been a month of like at home working on some stuff. I've been sewing, making some looks, making some video content, and I am just ready to get out there, to dance, to prance, to take a chance this Pride
Prancer
season.
size.
Prancer size. That's the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to be social. How are you?
Prancer size. I'm good. I'm a coach now, so I've got coaching jobs. Yes,
It's
that's like
wild.
been like the big change. Like we literally finished. I immediately started interviewing, and I got three studio jobs. So I'm working at Orange Theory Fitness. I have my own little boot camp happening at a studio called River Lines in Port Hope, and then I fill in at the CrossFit whenever they need me.
And like, are you feeling exhausted?
Yes,
Okay. I was like, I'm tired just listening to that. I feel
yeah,
like,
I'm exhausted.
do you work out as a student sometimes now, or are you just like, do you get your fitness as an instructor?
No, as an instructor, I'm not doing like body pumps, so I'm not working
Okay.
out with them like as a dance. Like I would rather die than that. So
Right.
like I do demos, so I show them how to do things, but I'm mostly just on my feet screaming. It's just a lot of yelling
Oh my God.
and
Very
stopwatches.
Abby Lee Miller of you.
Jojo, have you learned nothing? Yeah, it's very that. Yeah.
After the
Uh
workout, on the top of the
yeah.
pyramid, Stacy.
Fully. Oh my God,
It's
yeah.
always Stacy. It's always
It's
Stacy.
always Stacy. It's always Stacy. But yeah, that's kind of what I've mostly been up to. That plus like that has like filled up a lot of my free time, and then drag is my other time. So I'm just a busy little bee,
It's
moving,
so
moving, moving.
funny. It's like the double lives we live as drag queens. It's
Mm-hmm.
like one day you have your beard, you're a fitness instructor, and then you shave it off and you just shake
Mm-hmm.
your little booty on stage.
Well, and I think sometimes too, a lot of like post drag race life, a lot of people can feel a lot of shame when it comes to like getting a job that's not full time drag. So like,
Totally. We need to talk
yeah,
about this. We need to talk about this
yeah.
for a second. We've got time this episode.
There's
I
a lot of
love this
shame in
topic.
that.
I love this topic. I'm obsessed that you just brought this up. Okay, yes,
Mm-hmm.
there are times where it's like after Drag Race, there's this assumption as drag queens that like you go on that show and then it's this conveyor belt for the rest of your life. You get to do like
Mm-hmm.
Vegas residency or something and then you're set. But that's not always the case, especially for the
No.
international seasons.
Well, especially I think like a select 5% maybe that's their life,
Yes.
and everyone else like life goes on, things have to keep moving. You got to keep pumping. You could still work very steadily, but
Hmm.
sometimes you are like, you know what, lettuce is $7,
Since when?
you
Like it's
know? And
inflation.
also there has to be life after drag.
Hmm.
There's a lot of these people sometimes you think like, what's your backup plan? What happens if you broke your leg and you couldn't dance?
No,
What are you gonna
totally.
do? So
And I like the way you just framed it when you were like, there's the use of the word shame, because I know what you mean.
shame.
There's been times where if I've had a couple slow months between, let's say, like Pride seasons, it picks up again
hmm
around the holidays for like Christmas shows. But there are pockets of the year where I have the time. I've taken some freelance contract work. And I remember at first telling my drag queen friends, I was almost like a little sheepish, a little shy about it, because it's like me admitting that I'm not as booked and blessed as
hmm
maybe I had one time thought I should be, and I totally felt a little bit of shame, but there shouldn't be any of that. Like
No.
we're just trying to survive.
I had somebody come up to me at the Jimbo show going, Juice box, is that you? And I went, yeah. And she was like, do you even still do drag?
Oh,
And I looked at her and I was like, yeah, I do. Like, fuck off. So like, yeah, there's a lot of like weird shame when you're not constantly in people's faces.
Literally.
But like I think sometimes people don't understand that we're not always like wearing high heels and pretty dresses like every day of our lives.
Right? Normalize part-time jobs for drag queens.
Fully. Yes. But speaking of part-time jobs, we have someone with a great full-time job on the
Hmm.
podcast today. We are talking with Grant Picarillo from Freddie about all things that Freddie is going to start providing. So if you're someone who's been curious about prep or doxy pep or anything else Freddie, this is the episode for you to really start to kind of take in that information. And sometimes I feel like we talk about a lot of drag stuff, but getting to know these things about your sexual health is also super important too. So I feel like listen to the episode. They're great things to know. And I
Hmm.
learned a lot
Me too.
personally.
Me too.
Hmm.
I didn't realize the whole, like with DoxyPep, it's preventative. Grant, he explains it all in layman's terms. He's just the best.
He's the best. But do you want to call him or should I?
Ooh, I want to call him.
Nice.
Beep boop bop boop bee.
Please welcome back to Semi Qualified Queens, Grant Picarillo, one of Freddie's lead nurse practitioners and Harvard alumni. Since we spoke a few months ago, Grant, what has Freddie been up to?
It's nice to see both of you, Queens. Super happy to
Hi.
be a recurrent guest on the show. I feel like it's an honor and a
Yes.
privilege. It's part of my Pride Month celebrations. Freddie has been up to a lot. We've expanded maybe south of the Canadian border. We have
Mm.
started to offer in a more thorough way something called DoxyPep, which I think we'll talk about. And we're really excited about our month of June Pride campaign.
I love that. What have you
I
been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been playing a lot of tennis, trying to get back
Oh,
into healthy habits,
I
sports
love
for a
that.
lifetime. So I'm a bit of a tennis junkie, I admit.
Have you
I love
seen the
that.
new movie Challengers with Zendaya?
You, it's on my to-do list, but as a tennis
Oh,
player, I have mixed feelings about what the is it real proper tennis? Is it just movie tennis? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go check it out.
The shots, like there's one point in the movie where you feel like the tennis ball. It's kind of motion sickness, but it's really cool. I highly recommend.
All right, all right. I'll check it out on the next rainy day.
I love
Now, a
it.
quick reminder for our listeners: what is Freddie? What is PrEP? Just a little crash course.
Yeah, very quickly. Thanks for asking. Freddie is a virtual, so an online PrEP clinic. PrEP stands for pre exposure prophylaxis. It's a medication you can take to help prevent HIV before a potential exposure. So we're a virtual sexual health clinic open to anybody and everybody who needs some advice or wants to access PrEP medication.
So with that, now you guys are starting to offer Doxy Pep. I always want to say Doxy Prep, but it's Doxy Pep. What is that?
Yeah, so I it's really important that you made that distinction between PrEP and PEP, right? So PrEP, like your HIV medication that maybe you're already getting through Freddie, is a medication you take beforehand, pre-exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
DoxyPep stands for doxycycline, which is the name of the antibiotic medication.
Mm.
Post exposure, post meaning after a potential exposure. So,
Oh.
the way this works, though, is only to help lower your chance of being infected with a bacterial sexually transmitted infection. You can think of the three famous sisters, right? Syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia. We've all heard of them, you know?
Such beautiful names,
Such
yes.
Love
beautiful
them.
names in a different era.
Gorgeous. They
Yes.
flow off the tongue, yes.
Yes. So, in the studies that we have done, doxypep has been shown to greatly reduce the risk of new bacterial STI infections when taken properly. So let me talk about that in a little bit more detail, okay?
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So what this means is after a potential exposure to a bacterial STI, so you've had sex with somebody whose STI status you don't know,
Mm.
within 3 days, so that's 72 hours, but the sooner the better, you take a single dose of your doxypep, and I can tell you what that means in a moment.
Uh-huh.
It's 2 tablets at one time, just with a bit of water, one and done. It greatly helps reduce your risk of getting gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. It's been
Wow.
shown to prevent up to every study is a little different, 70, 80, in some cases even a little bit more percentage of new
Mm,
syphilis and chlamydia infections. Not quite
mm.
as good against gonorrhea, like 30, 40%. I've even seen around 50 in some studies. Still really good, right? The issue with gonorrhea is there's some resistance already to doxycycline. And so, we still got to take measures to make sure that you're getting tested as appropriate, but it still greatly reduces your risk.
That
So
is
I have a
so cool.
question.
Mhm.
What if you're a girly pop who's doing every day,
Yeah.
very busy every day? Do you just take Doxy Pep every day then?
Yes. Also a great question. Look, it's summer. We're having fun, right? Say you're having a weekend, it's your birthday, it's Pride Month, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Here's the deal. You only need to take DoxyPep once every 24-hour window, even if you've had multiple exposures within that window.
Okay.
Really great. But I need to make sure I put a stamp on a really important point here.
Of
Yes.
course.
DoxyPep is not treatment for
No.
chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis. So, if somebody, your friend who's using DoxyPep starts to experience symptoms of an STI, maybe it burns a little bit when you have to go to the bathroom. Maybe there's some discharge.
Oh.
Maybe a friend or a partner of yours mentioned, "Hey, I tested positive for XYZ." DoxyPep would not be recommended. You should go and speak to your medical professional. That could be your friendly Freddie nurse practitioner or
Oh.
clinician. It could be whomever else you feel comfortable speaking to for appropriate guidance.
So it's
Okay.
preventative.
Preventative.
It helps prevent an infection from taking place, just like
Mm,
HIV PrEP medication does. It just works after the exposure, not before.
mm. Okay. Okay.
And to confirm, you can take DoxyPep with PrEP in tandem,
Yes.
like they can
Yeah.
be in your body.
Totally. Really good question.
Cool.
We're always worried about contraindications. What medications can you take together? Can they dance together, right? No problem. They're seamless dance partners. There's no
Love it.
contraindication, nothing worrisome there. So you've taken your prep in the morning, something happens later that day, it's Pride Month, you're having fun, you take some Doxypep, no worries, you're good. Okay?
Okay.
Now, doxycycline is very well tolerated for the vast majority of people, right?
Hmm.
But you still want to ask your medical professional or clinician, is this right for me?
Of
Mm,
Right?
course.
There's a few cases where we might want to take extra precautions. For example, if somebody might be pregnant or planning on becoming pregnant, maybe if you're taking one or two very specific acne medications, okay, we might want to make sure that doxycycline would be safe for you. And there's a
mm,
handful of other things, okay? So always best advice instead of just maybe taking some of your friends, which I know some people do in some cases. Just make sure that you speak with a medical professional to make sure that it's safe,
mm,
Of course.
mm. I
right?
love that.
Yeah.
Um, is there any other services that Freddie is providing aside from DoxyPep?
Yeah, we're always seeking to meet the community with where they're at in terms of a lot of their health and sexual related questions that they have for us. So, in addition to DoxyPep, we're also offering for our Freddie Prep patients. Important asterisks there.
Hmm.
Uh, if they have questions about erectile dysfunction,
Mm,
premature ejaculation,
mm,
male pattern hair loss, treatment for HSV, which is the virus that can cause cold sores or herpes lesions. Okay,
hmm.
we'd be more than happy to work with them to determine if there's appropriate clinical treatments that might be available to help whatever one of those conditions that we were just chatting about. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. It's
That is so cool. I feel like Freddie is constantly growing, expanding, considering the needs of the queer communities. And that's just like
hmm.
so admirable. So congrats. I love that you guys keep building and growing. It's exciting.
It's great. I think a lot of it, I totally hear you. I think the same thing. For both myself and my colleagues, I think is something that we're always striving to do. But shout out to our patients and to
Mhm.
the community members that we serve for continuingly to push us and advocate us to help meet them with it, answer their questions, help broaden our services. So we can better provide them the safe and affirming care we've always been able to.
Love it.
It's everybody deserves a little bit of snaps and kudos for expanding our services.
Well, pat on our own
Sparkle. Little
backs.
sparkle for everybody. So with Pride coming up, I know that Freddie has a new Pride campaign. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I would love to. So we're all excited that it's Pride Month, right? A bit warmer weather, a bit more fun activities for folks to partake in, and it's super important for us here at Freddie that we celebrate Pride as well. So we've started a new Pride campaign. We've called it "Protect Our Pride," and we're really excited about that, right? I think what it does is it asks us to think about, what does pride mean for us, right? Of course, we are here to celebrate pride just as we always have, celebrate the love that we have for one another and the way that we love. But I also think it's important, and we here at Freddie have spent a lot of time thinking about this in today's news cycle and in today's political climate. Sometimes we have to protect ourselves as well, right? And
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
it's protecting ourselves against different types of discrimination. It's also protecting our health status, right? Through safer
Mm-hmm.
sex practices, for example, with HIV PrEP medication. So I think protecting our pride is a really fun way to both celebrate pride for what it is about, but also instilling a message that we got to look out for one another and have each other's backs now more than ever.
I
Love
love
that.
that. Speaking of fun ways to celebrate Pride, I'm loving the collaboration with the artist Keith Haring this year. I feel like some of perhaps the younger users of PrEP might not be as familiar with the iconic Keith Haring, which blows my mind. Can you tell us a little bit about this partnership?
I would love to. So, Keith Haring, as you mentioned, an iconic artist from the 80s, came of age in New York City, unfortunately passed away due to age related complications in 1990, I believe. I think, as you astutely said, even if you don't know who Keith Haring is by name, for example, I bet you have seen or would recognize some of his artistic designs before.
100%.
Some of the stick figures or graffiti like crawling babies or barking dogs are some of the most iconic images of
Mm-hmm.
his. An absolute artistic icon and an advocate for those persons living with HIV and raising awareness. In the community and across the world, frankly. And so we have partnered with the Keith Haring Foundation and started a collaboration to help celebrate our Pride campaign with the use of some of that iconic Keith Haring imagery. Super exciting.
That's so cool. Are you making any Freddie X Keith Haring merch for this Pride season?
So I admit I'm a nurse practitioner, so I'm going to focus on clinical content, but I know some.
Oh, that's fair.
Good answer,
That's
Grant. Good answer.
fair.
But I do know that some of our very savvy, maybe more artistic marketing folks are working to include some of that celebratory Keith Haring artistic imagery
I love
into
that.
our marketing campaigns. You might see it show up in some advertising. You might see it show up on some Freddie swag that might be handed out and
Ooh.
here, there, other places. I also think we're partnering maybe with two very
What?
dapper queens that I happen to be,
Who?
Ooh.
and maybe some other folks in the community to help share.
I
So
love that. Oh my God. Is there anybody else who you can share that might be a part of the campaign, or are these secrets?
you know, if I knew who to share, I would probably share. But
Nice. He's like, I don't know, Diva. He's like, I'm a nurse.
You're asking us about merch.
Merch and what about let me answer doctor things. What is this?
yeah,
Uh,
it takes a team and a village, right? And so
yeah, of
we're
course.
together celebrating Pride through clinical information and also really fun celebratory Pride campaigns that raise awareness. It is all one team and all one effort to raise awareness and protect people's health status, regardless of if they're somebody living with HIV or trying to protect their HIV negative status as well. So that
Love
happens
that.
through advertising and really awesome, fun marketing campaigns. It happens through consultations with really affirming medical providers.
Love it.
Absolutely. Is it true that Freddie is also donating to CanFAR?
Yeah, so as part of our broader Pride experience and ways to celebrate Pride, we've partnered with CanFAR, which is the Canadian Foundation for AIDS Research, for those
Mm.
folks who are listening and aren't familiar with the acronym. And the way that this partnership is working is for every new Freddie patient who is referred by an existing Freddie patient, we will donate $25 to CanFAR in their advocacy and research efforts to raise awareness and do additional research that related to HIV and AIDS. Up to $25,000, I think. So
Awesome.
I know we've already sent out some information to our existing patients about this. For any listeners, I implore you to share that information with your friends. Right, you not only are maybe helping them protect their health status or reach a really awesome affirming medical care service, but also helping raise some money for CanFAR and all that they do.
Mhm. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, south of the border, south
Yeah,
of the Canadian border, the US of A, our sisters in the US, you guys have already started to launch your services out there, or are you planning on it?
good question. So as an I am a permanent resident of Canada. I love it here. I'm so happy to be here. I was born in the U.S. and it's where I came of age. It's where I did my studies and all of that. And so I'm excited to say that we have already launched south of the border in the United States our Freddie services. It was a huge team effort to make it a reality. But so far, things have been going really quite well. And we've, just as we saw in Canada, there has been there is a space and a demand for a virtual service to provide an
Mm.
affirming place for patients to reach out to. At first, just about PrEP medication, but we'll see as we've expanded our services in Canada. I can imagine we would seek to do the same thing south of the border. So state by state, just like province by province, right? We're always hoping to expand, and so for now, we're just in a few of the 50 United States, and we're really excited to be down there.
That is
Incredible.
epic. You're taking over
Yeah.
the world.
Oh my God. Prep England, Prep Australia,
It's like Drag Race. Just
taking
going through.
over.
It is like Drag Race. Yeah, I no comment on Prep England. You'll have to speak to some of the business folks.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes,
Yes.
that was a joke. That was a joke.
How many times does Grant have to say it? He's a nurse practitioner.
he's like, juice, enough. Cut the cameras.
No, it's
So
great.
this
We are.
pride.
Look, it's really interesting working in the U.S. Right? We are friends and neighbors. Our two countries. Yet I know that can be a complicated relationship, just like what siblings aren't. Uh, but there's a lot of similarities, but there are some cultural differences here, and we're trying to navigate that best as possible. I think the most obvious one is the greater need for Spanish speaking services down in the United States, just like
Oh
there
yeah.
is a need for French speaking services here in Canada. And so, we're learning and growing and trying to adapt best we can to meet the patients and community where they're
I
at.
love it. Cynthia, do you speak Spanish?
This might shock you, but
Mm.
no, I do not.
No hablo,
No,
so we cannot help.
No
No
problem.
hablo. We cannot help, but I wish we could.
We are unqualified queens.
You're
Unqualified.
unqualified. You better fire up that Duolingo app, and you can just
Oh,
I
get.
know. Did you see Duolingo at Pride? She has a little bikini on. It's so cute. The big owl with this little string bikini on a pride float. It's incredible.
You better
Wow,
work,
keep my eye
Diva.
out.
I know. You gotta work the world, diva.
Now, before we wrap up our combo today, Grant, I wondered if you had any advice for the queer community celebrating Pride this year. Any quick tips as far as I don't know, best practices when it comes to their sex health?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, look, I encourage folks to take the opportunity during Pride to celebrate who they are, love how they want to love who they want to love, and find the communities that will celebrate you for that. Importantly, know that there are medical providers and virtual clinics in this case who will meet you where you're at if you have any questions or concerns whatsoever, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's through Freddie or any other service, there are ways to access medications that might help protect your health status. If you have any questions, go get tested. We
Mhm.
can help you, right? So take the opportunity to protect your health status, share any health information that you know with your friends and your loved ones, uh, and importantly, have each other's backs, right? Sometimes we all need a little bit of help or a little bit of nudge to say, hey, why don't you go speak to a medical provider about that, right? Because you know your best friends better than we do. And
Mhm.
so, my message is to not just look out for yourself and celebrate yourself and love your lovers, but also, love your friends and tell them when maybe they need to seek some medical advice too.
I like
So,
that. Love that.
listeners, call Freddie. I know
Call
you want
Freddie.
to.
Call Freddie. Chat with Grant. He's a
Chat
cute
with
patootie.
Grant. You could gamble your call. You might get Grant.
But
You know,
you never know.
you
I'll
never know.
let Juice and Cynthia know, okay? And there's no under the table commission here. It's all
No,
all above board.
no. The only thing that's happening under the table is nope. I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Pew 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 pew
Ew,
pew.
pew, pew,
A
pew.
professional interview. Pew pew pew.
Is that what we're calling this?
Yeah. Well, Grant, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all this information about the Freddie Pride campaign and DoxyPep and Freddie heading over to the USA. It has been so exciting and so nice to catch up. I feel like we never get to catch up.
I know.
You
It
know?
was great getting to see you guys perform just a couple of months ago in downtown Toronto. I hope.
Oh, you were a party and a half. I could see you in the audience just having a good old time. You're fun.
I was
You are
having
fun.
fun. You two were performing. Come on, if you can't
Thank
have fun
you.
there.
Oh, well, because we're just used to you in this little box. So when I saw you in person just partying your face off, I was like, go off, Grant. I love you.
We do. We really do.
It's a
Yeah.
good lesson to say we might be a virtual clinic, but we are IRL sometimes, and we're real. We're
Mhm.
ready. We're ready to have fun and help out in person too.
Right.
Love that.
All right.
So if you see Grant in person, cheers your little prep pills, pop them, and go have a good time.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Grant.
It was super fun. Nice to see both of you again.
You too.
What a sweetheart. I just love Grant.
He's so sweet and so fun. I feel like we got him flustered this time.
I feel like we're getting extra flirty. We know him now. He's our good friend.
He's our pod boyfriend.
Truly, truly.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see him during Pride this year.
Yes, I would love that. Give him a big old squeeze, a big old kiss. I love that, but great interview. And it was nice to kind of find all of those things out because I feel like sometimes a lot of that like medical stuff or people get really scared to ask or nervous to kind of figure out. And I felt like the way he delivered it was just so perfect.
It's as if it's his job.
It's crazy. It's as if that he just knows what to say.
But that's our bonus episode for the week, SQQties. So thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can do so at Semi-Qualified Queens Pod, at Twitter at SQQPOD, and our email is semiqualifiedqueenspod@gmail.com.
And we also have our Semi-Qualified Queens Season 1 Rewind happening on YouTube. So youtube.com/at Semi-Qualified if you want to watch all of our video content for the Season 1 Rewind. But if you are so impatient that you just need to have that episode a day before, you can watch it on our Patreon. So if you go to Semi-Qualified Patreon.com/semi-qualified-queens, my bad. You can see the episodes just a day ahead of time for the low price of I think like $3 or $5. Super cheap.
It's a steal.
Yeah.
For a cup of coffee, you can be supporting the podcast because
cheaper than lettuce.
Hello,
cheaper than lettuce. I love it. But thank you guys so much for listening one more week. We really appreciate it. We love you guys so much, and we will see you next week with another episode of Semi-Qualified Queens Rewind, Season 1 Rewind.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.